Well, our hormones play an integral role in mental health, but there are times as women that we might feel like our hormones are working against us rather than for us. MC Decker is a registered psychologist and joins us this morning to chat about cycle-informed therapy. Good morning. Thanks so much for coming in.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me here.
We already crammed in a whole conversation.
We did.
There's
much to say.
It is such an important topic. Let's start off with the basics. What are we talking about here? Are we talking about menstrual cycle? Are we talking menopause? And how does this relate to women's mental health?
Yeah, so the work that I'm doing and the awareness that I'm trying to bring is for women who are still have a menstrual cycle, so not necessarily are in the perimenopause or menopausal transition, although these two things are very much connected. But for the purposes of our chat today, Jody will be talking about people who are still have a menstrual cycle and the effects that the menstrual cycle has on their mental health.
It feels like this is such a long overdue conversation.
It is, it is.
Tell us what cycle tracking is and what it does.
Yeah, so tracking your cycle means exactly what it sounds like, which is paying attention to where you're at in your cycle, and then taking note of one or two things to do with your mental health that might ebb or flow or change as a result of your menstrual cycle. So you might be somebody who experiences a little bit of anxiety, and you might be curious about how your anxiety changes across the cycle. Maybe you're interested in tracking your mood and how your mood changes. Could be your energy levels, how your sleep is, just one or two dimensions about your mental health and how that changes across the cycle. Yeah.
And then how does knowing the stages of your cycle help with, managing your mental health goals? I think that there would be some obvious parallels there.
Yeah, so what's like the benefits of cycle tracking really is that it builds a cyclical picture of our mental health. So it's really good information, it's really good data for us to sort of look at and go, okay, so I'm noticing that my anxiety maybe gets worse towards the end of my cycle. So if we have that information, then we know that we can, do certain things to take care of ourselves better. And it's really good information for us to bring to our health and mental health practitioners, that if we're going to see them for support, if we have that information, it's really good for them to have as well.
How labor intensive is, no pun intended, how labor intensive is this to track it? I mean, is it something that you can write down? Is there an app? How is it that, how much work is this?
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a lot of work. In fact, it's better if it's not a lot of work. So a lot of people actually are already tracking their cycle for various reasons. There are a number of different apps out there. So I'd say the majority of people these days are using an app to do that. But really, it's a quick check-in with yourself each day. So what day of the cycle are you on? And then one or two things about your mental health that you're paying attention to. So it's not labor intensive at all.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball here because even though it is 2026, it does seem like this is still a little bit of a topic we don't speak of in polite company.
Yeah.
Is this something we should be talking about with those that we love, with the caregivers in our life, our moms, our dads, is it something we should be sharing and talking about?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's really important information for, somebody who has a menstrual cycle to have, but also for the people who are supporting us, right? So of course, we want to make sure that that's being done in the spirit of supporting that person and not minimizing or criticizing it, but it's really helpful information for partners to have or parents to have, spouses, friends, that kind of thing. It can really go a long way in supporting people who are noticing changes in their mental health as a result of the cycle.
Very good. I'm going to ask one more.
Sure.
Is there evidence to suggest that as we change in age that this also changes, or is it something that remains fairly consistent through the years that we are?
Yeah, it's sort of person to person. So some people experience, or some people have effects on their mental health right from the beginning when they first start getting their periods, and then they notice that throughout their menstruating life. But some people do have it sort of pop up in later in life, especially, of course, as we're entering into our, late 30s and 40s, into those perimenopausal years. We start to see some changes there, but it's really person to person. So some people, again, experience changes across their lifespan, and some people, it might pop up later in life. So it's variable.
Very interesting conversation. And thank you so much for your time today. We certainly
thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. MC, if you'd like to learn some more information, you can visit mindfulcycles.com.